Hi, Erica.
Hi, how are you today, Dave?
Merry Christmas, or as we should say now, it's in between the years.
It's in between the years. I know. Do you notice? Is it sad that you have my normal background and not the Explora book, that fun little bookshelf picture that was behind me for the first couple?
I mean, that was fun, but to be honest, I loved the Christmas tree you were in front of a little while
That's
ago.
true.
So, can I make a request?
Yes.
Often when we talk, you have your cozy blanket. I think you should, because it
The
it is a
blanket.
Sunday, and we're always telling
Yes.
agents. Well, I always tell my
I know.
clients that I respect work-life balance and I don't work weekends. But when we do work, we have to at least show that we're taking care of ourselves. So
Mhm.
I wanted to see the
Yes.
blanket.
What's funny is that I have this blanket in here. This is my normal lap blanket that anyone who's ever had a call with me knows that it's usually on. I have the identical blanket, like literally 20 feet over there in the living room. And sometimes the living room blanket comes in here and it's very weird.
Yeah, that is weird. So, all right, so I'm gonna take. You were making fun of me because I said I'm just gonna go to the restroom for a minute, and I came back all
And then you
showered.
came back all showered and pretty and yeah.
Well, I'm not
Which is
that
why I took the
pretty.
blanket off because I'm like, oh, I should be pretty too. But yeah, no, we're
All
gonna
I
stay extra
did
warm.
was I just freshened up and put on an appropriate shirt for
Hmm.
myself because I was sitting around in my pajamas for 3 days. It rained nonstop. So
Hmm. Yeah.
I think we have
I feel
overwhelmed
bad.
ourselves again and
Yeah,
done a lot, and we need to let the people know what's been going
exactly.
on.
Because I feel bad. Like at first I know our intention was, oh, we'll do more of these videos every day but you kind of get into it, right? It's kind of
Also, it was Christmas.
well, and then there was Christmas. Yes, that's true.
You ever
But
celebrate?
we've done a lot since we last recorded about our journey into Tern.
And full disclosure, you've done more than I have.
But it's one of those things where I feel like you said it best the other day. Like I feel like Tern was, like when you were a kid and you got like a new board game or a puzzle and you immediately had to jump into it on Christmas morning.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
kind of how I feel about Turn. Like I've had to apologize to Chris and be like, I
He
need
has
to go play in
hockey.
it.
He has
Yeah,
hockey.
and he
It's
does. He's
hockey
got lots of
tournament
hockey.
time.
And
He's
I think,
probably actually happy right now.
yeah,
He's like, oh, nobody's bugging me about my hockey. All right. So when we left, oh gosh, I'm feeling overwhelmed. We
all we
had
had done
gone
was
through
gone
this
through our settings.
settings.
Yes.
So you have gone down like
Hmm.
a
We've done a few more things.
rabbit hole. So we started. It was so funny the other day when you called me. You're like, oh, I imported all my clients. What did you learn?
Yeah. So the first thing we decided to do was import our clients. And I actually did this while I was still on the cruise. And I will say that, right, so we learned because I imported mine, you imported yours, I imported mine first, and I TravelJoy has a very like a one button click and it downloads all of your contact details, like names, birth dates, passport details, loyalty programs, basically anything you've loaded into TravelJoy in one button push, you can have it downloaded into a spreadsheet. And so really when it comes to uploading, your individual comfort level in using an Excel-like spreadsheet. So whether it's Excel or the iMac version of that or Google spreadsheet
Right.
will determine how quickly everything gets uploaded. So I think within an hour I had everything uploaded. Like everything, passports, loyalty numbers, KTN numbers, birthdays, everything. The one thing that I didn't upload was relationships, and it's because I don't really use that feature a lot in TravelJoy. So yeah, so I uploaded, and they have a thing, a little process that walks you through it. But basically, you create, you look at the spreadsheet. I did take the time to go through my entire client list, all 1,799 people that were in TravelJoy to make sure there was a handful of duplicates. So I deleted them. There was some people that have
Right.
passed away, so I got rid of them because I wanted to make sure what I was uploading was clean.
Right. Right.
But then the
And
uploading
that's
process
well,
was
that's a
fairly
good
easy.
chance, right? This is a good
Yeah.
chance to kind of clean up your list a little bit.
Hmm. Exactly.
That's I did similar.
Hmm. And then, right, you even noticed how easy it was. So literally, when it comes to uploading your client list into Turn, you select the Excel spreadsheet, you select or you select the spreadsheet that you're using and you select, if you've got multiple tabs, you select the tab and then it auto maps. Like it says, like if your header is first name, it says first name. And so it's kind of like mapping
Right.
each of the data points in.
Right.
And
So it's
sometimes it didn't map
matching.
it right, but then you
Right.
can pick from the list and say, no, no, this is really this.
Okay.
So
Right.
it was fairly easy, and then we walked you through it too, and you were able to, the turn system suggests mapping, part of the data first and then bringing the rest of it in.
Right. That was the thing I thought was super important was that
Yeah.
you got your entire spreadsheet and then we deleted columns, right? We went
Yeah,
and
we
we
deleted.
deleted unnecessary columns,
Yeah.
columns that don't necessarily have a match in Tern because you said it
Yeah.
doesn't give you, I think, second address or second.
Yeah, it doesn't auto bring in a second home address. So if
Okay,
they have a
so I
second
got rid
mailing
of
address, yeah.
those. I got rid of the labels like email label, phone label. I got rid of all of that.
Yeah.
And I just got down to the bare most important things of, first name, last name,
Preferred name,
preferred
yeah, birth
name,
dates,
right, down to the
all of that stuff.
passport stuff.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
got that. But once I got the list pared down to the
Mhm.
info I wanted, then I followed your suggestion and I made duplicates. And
Yes.
then I kept one main
Mhm.
full. And then to the duplicates, I went and then I chopped them in half.
Exactly. Because the one thing, so before on that main one, before we made the duplicates, the one thing that Turn asks you to do is to give every person a unique number. So we added a column, we gave everybody a unique number, and then we added a column and we gave them your name. Because we again are just solo agents, but
Right.
if you're someone that maybe has multiples ICs and you've downloaded everything out of TravelJoy or some other platform, you want to make sure that the agent is assigned to the
Right.
right people. So
Right.
for us, it was easy. We just put our email in there and dropped it all the way down. Yeah,
And you taught me a numbering
yeah,
skill. I learned a new skill on how to create client numbers or whatever numbers with just putting
mhm.
your arrow and then just dragging it down and just auto populates all the numbers down one till what 2000 or whatever.
Yep. So I gave everybody the number T. I think the first person had a T 00001, and why did I pick T? Well, T for turn.
Of
I don't
course.
know. It doesn't matter. They just everyone needs a unique number. So yeah, so that was nice, right? So we created that master sheet that had all of the data, and then, like you said, we made multiple copies because Turn suggests not trying to import every piece of information under
Right.
the sun to
Right.
start with, just in case there's a hiccup of some sorts. So
Right.
we truncated it. It was like name, address, phone number, email address, and passport details. And then
Right.
we got rid of everything else.
Right.
Um, and so we've got like so that and we uploaded that first. And then we kind of did some checks and we were like, wow, this really
It
worked
was
easily.
super fast too. Like I
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is going to take forever. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, I f- it was much easier for me because you had watched some videos and how to do it, and you're the queen of spreadsheets and kind of told me what to do. But it was so simple to follow those directions. And then I identified the three columns that I would always have when I'm uploading, which is the
Yeah.
client number, the
Yeah.
client last name, and email address,
Hmm.
so that those are the three constants. So
Hmm.
that after that first time when I uploaded, okay, the names, the addresses, the phone numbers, then the next time I did it with the client number, the last name, and the email with the passport details and I
Hmm.
put in special occasions, whatever the things
Yep.
were.
Hmm.
I had my constants and then I had the sections, and it was just three separate uploads.
And it
Each
was
of
done.
them took literally less than 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and all of our clients are in Tern. So that was super simple.
Yeah. It was way easier than we expected.
I would say the big takeaway from that was make sure you clean your list before you upload it, get rid
Yeah.
of duplicates. I went through also, one thing that I noticed too, they had some of the titles. didn't match. So like I had an admiral, and well, they didn't have admiral in Tern, so I just like cleared it out on his thing. But
Yeah.
they made it really simple. So I cleaned everything up, and then you know how sometimes people would fill out your forms in all caps.
Yes.
So I went through and I found all of those and I put them in so that everything is matched, uppercase, lowercase, so that my list was clean going into Tern, and that I think is a big
Yep.
difference. So because we're building a house, and this is the
Yes.
foundation. What we're doing right now is the foundation of the house, and we want the foundation to be solid. So the thing that took the most time was cleaning the list.
Was clean, was sorting. And I, and if you're good with Excel, I ran a couple filters and searches to be able to pick out like duplicates and things
Right.
like that so that I didn't have to go through things manually. But it was, yeah,
That was
like you said, it was easy. But that was the most time consuming part. And then the one thing, so if you're going from TravelJoy to Tern, right? We mentioned Tern doesn't auto upload a second home
address.
address. It also doesn't auto import a second phone. It can do a primary email and a secondary email, but it doesn't do the second phone and the second address. So all I did was I sorted through my or through the my spreadsheet list for anyone that had a second address, and I made the decision, am I going to just manually enter it or not? Some of
Right,
them I knew were old addresses, some of them are my snowbirds, and so I
right,
wanted to have both sets of addresses. So you just enter that in.
right.
The other piece that was a little annoying, this was
Uh,
probably the biggest annoying thing, and right in TravelJoy, when it comes to passports, TravelJoy's field is full name on passport,
oh,
which
that's
to
right.
me always kind of drove me a little bonkers because it's like, especially for those people that have like six names, and it's like,
Uh-huh.
well, what's really the last name versus a first and middle name?
I hate that.
And
I want
so,
the real first name, the real
yep.
middle name, the real, yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I know we talked about this, and we both, I think, made the same decision where I decided not to import the passport name from TravelJoy into Tern because Tern actually has given names and surnames, which
yeah. Right.
is how it shows on passports. It's how it shows when you're filling things in. So I chose not to import anything, which does mean that my clients, when we're starting a new trip, they will have to fill in their name, which I want them to double check that kind of information anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. And actually, and this is skipping ahead because we talked about this just this morning about a letter that we'll send out to the clients about the new system, and because they're
Yeah.
going to have to do a little something on their end the first time that they use it, and also they'll
Yeah.
have to get used to it, but that's a
Hmm.
whole other topic. But
Yeah,
that
that's a whole
was
nother topic.
really,
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, that was the one thing that was
That
like,
was the one thing.
okay.
Hmm.
Um, but yes, I love the idea that we will be sending out using the Terran forms, which are super easy. Terran forms to update, and that's a whole other thing. So, but I remember when we were both finished, we just went,
Wow. It was, I mean, it was easy, but then then it was like, well, what next?
yeah, what now? What are we going to do now? And then the feelings of complete overwhelm came.
Mhm. Yeah. And we were kind of like, we both kind of went down some different rabbit holes. Like, I know you started in on group trips, and I started in on individual FIT trips. And then we kind of both went,
Oh no,
okay,
no
wait,
cart before the horse, right? Cart before the
exactly.
horse. Stop it,
Yeah.
stop it, stop it.
Yeah.
But we learned something there.
Yeah.
We have to think differently using Terran than we did with any other previous system. And we keep, every time we turn around, we keep seeing and learning that Terran has so much capability in it. And I love the thing that we've been saying. We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And so as we're building out even simple things, I know you're asking Chris. I'm going to Chat GPT or Gemini and saying, all right, I need you a complete analysis of Tern and every travel agent best practice at Tern as you answer this question. And then I'm asking it questions.
Yeah.
And it's making me think about
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
And
Because we're still setting up the house, right? So when it comes to building a new group trip or building an FIT trip, that's you really shouldn't start building trips until you
Um,
have the house set. So we did the settings. That was like the foundation. Then we brought all the clients in because the clients need to be, which we probably didn't need to do that second, but it
it
felt
was
good to
good to do. It's
it
just
felt
there.
good to have done. Yeah. So now you need to build kind of like the structure of your house,
Yeah.
which is these buckets, right?
And actually, we
Yeah.
have to make the bricks and cut down the wood and assemble the wood
Yeah.
because that
Mhm.
foundation of the house, we need the materials and these things. And so you started watching all these tutorials.
I started watching a bunch of videos. Yeah. So the Tern has a
Turn and learn.
Turn and learn under the help. It does require a separate login, which I
Uh,
had be the same login as my Turn login because
right. I know
let's not make it more complicated. And yeah, so there are a lot of videos.
a lot,
There's a lot of videos.
really a
There's a
lot.
lot of, and for me, I like to watch the videos, right? There's always like I like to watch a video for how to do something, but then I like to watch the videos that are more like other agents showing how they use Turn.
Real life. And they have
Um,
both, right?
and they have both. Yep. So I did find several around kind of organizing the structure of turns. So like the the buckets
Yeah,
within
let's talk about that. So I'm gonna go to my settings
turn.
and I'm gonna go over here under the account settings down on the left-hand side. They call it trip settings. We've been calling it
Yes.
we've been calling it buckets.
I call it buckets. Some people think of it as those Trello board, um, columns. And
Which
I think you
you're
look at it
also
in,
seeing that Tern seems to be the best of certain things. Like I really love this Trello column thing, and you can move cards around, but then you can also just click a button and it lists it. And there's different ways of viewing it.
Mhm.
That is really interesting. Um, but we discovered that really and truly the foundation of everything from a business perspective is setting up your statuses slash
Mhm.
buckets. And I
Yeah.
have to laugh because I had that thing this morning back and forth with ChatGPT, or just I named him Victor. So
Mhm.
Victor, my ChatGPT assistant, was explaining things and he was using words that don't match Tern. And he's like, "Oh, you're right. This is what they call it." But I'm like, "Well, please use what they call it because my pea brain cannot handle all of this change." But we really see that how you set up your statuses is going to be almost like recurring wallpaper throughout your email templates, your form templates, your task templates. And we did a lot of thinking and discussing, didn't we?
We did, because I will say both of us, the statuses that we initially input when we were doing our initial settings 2 weeks back are not the same as what's in there right now.
Oh, they changed like, I know mine changed like 8 or 9 times.
Yeah, and I mean, you laughed yesterday because when we first cut our call, I was like, look, I made my things, and you're like, oh my
I,
God, what is that? So, and I'm one of those pen and paper type people, so I love to kind of
right,
lay out. And so when you're setting up your statuses, right, think of it as, right, everything from new trip, right? So it comes to you and they have a new trip request. What are all of the statuses? So how are you going to move things essentially from that initial trip request until they've already come home?
right,
And
right.
so I actually have, because Turn lets you have so many buckets,
Right. You can have
I
as
don't
many
know,
as you want.
you can have as many as you want. I mean, I think at one point you had like 20 buckets set up, like
I
these little
did.
statuses. And then we kind of pared it back a
Victor
little bit.
yelled at me. He said, "You're not listening to me."
But so, which I think is really nice because then you can I had the buckets that I always wanted to have in the other system, but I didn't have enough bucket space.
Right,
Um, And so think about it as how, not only like the buckets where they're your working buckets, but they're also the buckets where you're waiting on something.
right,
And so then you can actually have enough statuses to be able to visually, and I like these because you're visually seeing what place in the process are all of your trips, right? Because a lot of them linger in the, kind of in that confirmed and deposited bucket, right? Because they're deposited, but then it's nice to have those additional buckets so that you can see who hasn't approved something,
Right.
who are you waiting for money on,
Right.
who's paid in full, who's made their decision on insurance, right, as you're moving through the buckets.
But this is also where we discovered, or at least ChatGPT Victor was slamming me with it. There's the difference between buckets and tags.
Yeah,
And your buckets should be your general primary processes of moving the client through their trip.
yeah,
But the tags, along with the workflows that they'll be attached to, will be those individual steps. Because you know me, I'm so anal retentive. I had step one, new inquiry lead, and then I had step 1.5, follow up. And he's like, no, you don't need a whole column for that. That is a workflow within that you can develop and use tags, which we'll get to, because tagging here is going to be so
yeah,
important and freeing, because not only do we have your buckets lined up in your row, and you suggest that you like how I numbered my stuff at TravelJoy,
yeah.
but here you can do it easier. And so you we numbered our, so my buckets, I have 9 buckets, and I used the same titles on the buckets. And then I went into the templates for the forms and I did this, I created folders that match the bucket. So I have like 01 is my new inquiry lead bucket. Then I went over to emails, forms, and tasks, and I created a folder that's 01 new inquiry forms, new inquiry email, new inquiry tasks, which is going to allow me to, inside those folders, create the forms, the emails, the workflows, and tasks that go with that step. And that's also going to allow us to customize.
Yeah,
Because we all have the same steps that we do when we have a new client. But if
yeah,
that new client is calling you about a trip to Tahiti versus a river cruise, you're going to want to apply a different automated task list that will trigger different automated mails and different automated things. All this tagging inside the buckets is going to
yeah,
make that a dream.
yeah,
Oh, I could
yeah.
die.
It really is, and I like the idea of, and on one of the videos, the turn instructor was talking about, right? Like um, you don't want to send a welcome home email if the trip never got booked.
Right. Right.
So I like in my old system, I had a master task list, right? That once, and I know you did too, right? We had
No, no,
these
no, but
giant,
Erica, can
yes.
you ask your question? What did you ask me yesterday? Am I crazy?
I did. I asked, I was like, am I crazy because I have 82 tasks in my task list? And you were like, you were very kind and said
No,
no.
no, you're not crazy. You're
And I was like,
thorough.
but I'm looking at these, like the sample ones that are in the library in turn, and nobody has something that has 82 tasks in it.
No, there were like six
They were
tasks.
like 8 or 10, and then I did find a few that were like 14, but I still never found any that were 82.
Right.
And then I started looking because I'm like, that's it, I'm going to look at them. So I started looking at them and I watched a few videos and I went, huh, that's because you can essentially, as trips move through phases or the buckets of development, they're
Status.
getting the statuses, they're getting workflows attached so that we're not attaching things like, let's give Viking the client's address and make sure that the documents are going to the right place, because it's kind of a waste of my time and your time to call Viking and say, hey, make sure the documents are going to the right place if they haven't even deposited. Whereas
Exactly.
my old task list was pulling everything in to begin with. Well, now I've really looked at that list and says, okay, I divided it into the new statuses or the phases that trips go through. And what was nice was that now that we have everything in one system, I was able to, I think off the bat, almost eliminate like almost 20 steps in my process, because now I don't have to go and update the same information in TravelJoy and Tern. I'm updating, it's just naturally putting it in Tern, and so I don't have to update TravelJoy and Travefy, right? I'm
Right.
putting it in one
Right.
place.
Right.
I don't need reminders to go and do that here and do that here and do that, right? Yeah,
And
so
and to be fair, also to Travel Joy, you could create small task lists and
Yes,
label them, but you
absolutely.
have to manually apply. And there's still great capability there, but you have to
Yeah,
think about it, and then you have
yeah,
to go in and you have to specifically build each task list. This new way of thinking and building it using the tags will be able to make, like, I'm already envisioning that I'm going to make my central task list for, the new inquiry lead process, but then within the task list based on tags, I can
yeah.
have the variations. So
Yep.
when I
So
apply,
like so an example would be like if someone's booking a cruise, there's standard cruise to-dos that you do with every cruise. And so
Mhm.
that when they're a cruise, they'll get that. Everyone, all cruises will naturally get that. But then
Right,
there'll be a separate tag for like Viking, and that will pull in the Viking specific to-dos, like
right,
the email that's, just those standard emails that you already have written, but now they'll just be there automatically because you've added a Viking tag to it. So like the Viking dining reservations and excursion opening and, check your Viking air at these, and you can essentially put all those formulas in and they'll just auto pull in because you've given it the tag Viking.
right. And again, you could still do that in travel joy, but then you have to
Yep,
make
but you're
every
you're adding them
individual,
in.
you have to
Yeah,
make every individual customized task list specific. Here, you'll be able to manipulate it with tags and combine
yeah,
smaller task lists. And I just think that's amazing. So it was fun. I really had a good time. It was like we were playing tennis about our bucket
about our
titles.
buckets. Yeah.
Um, and it was also interesting watching some of the videos of some of the presenters and looking at their buckets and processes, and because I think we all do the same thing. We
We
all think someone else is doing it better, and we always want to see what they're doing so we can
yeah,
self-check and double check.
yeah.
And
But make sure you write them in the words that make sense for you. So like you and I, right? You said you have 9 buckets, I have 10 buckets,
Mhm.
and they're the in if you stepped back from both of our flows, they're identical, but
Yeah,
they're written in the words that are meaningful to me and how I like to think about my trips flowing through the process. And your buckets are titled very much in your words that you go through the process, which I think is completely okay. But I think it's a very important step that you should think through, sleep on it, and then come back to them and go, do we like, are we good with these buckets?
and something that I did, it's one thing when you're sitting there in this
Hmm.
in the system and the status thing and you're looking at it as a list. I found it very, very rewarding and helpful to then just go up and click on the trips tag in the top and then see the columns and see
And then
how
see the
the
columns.
titles
Mhm.
look, and I,
Yes.
I love that they're numbered.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
now, I didn't just put the title in my status bucket thing. I wrote the title and a colon and then some support. So, like, new inquiry lead, not 01, new
Hmm.
inquiry lead, incoming request received, not yet qualified. So it's just a little extra note,
Yes.
not
Hmm.
just for me because I need it, but this is really important for a lot of you out there. And I'm gonna do now a word from our sponsor, Marcy Munsterman, whose classes I'm taking. Um, One of the things that I just kind of had a come to Jesus moment, your boy needs an assistant. So in one of the classes that I'm doing with Marcy, and I really love her classes because they're doing some foundational things to make me think,
Hmm.
things I know, things that I have done, but I'm looking at them differently. But I have to start thinking about what I'm doing, what it looks like to somebody else. And so I had to think about that with Terry when he started helping me. But now I'm thinking about how is this going to look when I eventually get an assistant who is going to have to work in here and who's going to start taking away some of the administrative, busy crap that is taking up too much of my time. So thinking about how it looks to them, and I thought was also really helpful. And so I liked going in. Um, and this is where I use ChatGPT, Victor, to help me. I wrote down what my titles and my things were going to be. And I asked him, I said, rewrite this in, I gave him some prompts. and it came out to be really, really what I want it to be. So I'm really pleased with my buckets, my
Yeah.
stats,
And what's
status.
nice about these is that there isn't a, I at least haven't found a character limitation. So
Oh,
like you said, right, when it comes to writing those titles, it doesn't matter if it's just traveling or if it's proposal, itinerary building and refining, working bucket. Like you can have it be as many, I think, characters as you like. Like
yeah,
I
you
didn't
can.
see any
Yeah,
limitations.
I didn't
And
see any
if you have a
lists.
longer description, it doesn't clutter it up to the point where now suddenly you can't see any trips underneath it either. So
Oh, not at
it's
all.
yeah.
That's a very good point. And also, I think that was great to see because actually having the text there and looking, because we've been making some test trips just
Hmm.
to see what stuff looks like.
Yeah.
And it looked really good. Oh, dogs are home. Hi, dogs. How was your walk? Welcome. Hi. They're so happy. They couldn't go out for 3 days on
That's
their
great.
walks. And Juno was coming and pawing at us, like, hello, what about my walk?
Oh.
We'd open the door and she'd look at the rain and she'd go, oh, she just turned
Hmm.
around.
Yeah.
So, but back with this, I think it's really cool to have that. Now I really feel like my foundation
Hmm.
is laid.
Yep. Yep. And just, yeah, so just to kind of summarize, right? So you set your trip statuses, so those buckets that you're seeing in the trips view, you set those up in settings. So in your little face bubble on the top right-hand corner of the screen, that's where you can adjust them and move them around and rename them. We do think it's important to put a numbering system to them because
Yes.
then in your library, you can essentially recreate all of, you can set up a folder with those same names in forms, emails, tasks, automations, and workflows. So all of those library buckets, you can have that same numbering system with folders to help things just stay really clean because we know that that's something that I mean, I don't even want to admit how many email templates that I have in TravelJoy. I got a lot. And we've got this crazy numbering system, but you're still like scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. So it's
Oh,
nice
I
to now
love
have
that.
the ability to do folders and subfolders so that when you're looking for a specific email, it's in a place that's logical to you.
And totally simple to find. So
Yeah.
so I went and I decided that I am going to, for every bucket, I'm going to have the folder for the templates, the forms, and the tasks have the same title. Let's just be the title slash forms, the title slash emails. And that way it's so simple and easy to find. And also, I am taking this time to rewrite a lot of my mails.
Yeah.
Um, I am looking at things at a also the point of view. I was the river cruise king for a decade, and all I did was river cruise. But now that post COVID, I started doing, ocean and land and safari. My brand got kind of muddled, and people were like, "What? Who are you?"
Mhm.
And so I have now separated my websites. I spent Christmas time going through and doing an entire River Cruise King. I have the new Maris Rex brand, the DNA for land. And I'm doing that also inside here with folders and tags. And this is allowing me to have those brand voices easily have their own task list, their own email templates and forms, but all in the same place for each part of each bucket.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
enchanted. And
Mhm.
it looks really nice. That's
It
something
does.
with Travel Joy. We've said this from the beginning. It's functional and helpful and has a lot of really great tools,
Yep.
but it just doesn't look very engaging.
Yeah. I think it looks cleaner. And I think maybe we can touch just a tad bit on the email system. So I know when we were setting up the systems
Yes.
on the last call, we mentioned how easy it was to link your email in. It's really interesting to see as we've been testing emails to ourselves and to each other. It emails come from you. They don't come from like in travel. I oftentimes have people, depending on what their spam filter is, right? Travefy, sometimes emails get tossed into spam. Sometimes TravelJoy emails get tossed into spam because it's not coming from your email. It's coming from an email masking
Right.
system, right? It's coming from a TravelJoy messaging that's linked to your email. Um, but sometimes things just get filtered out.
Yeah.
The emails actually come from your email address. It doesn't look like it's coming from another system, which I think in the age of, stronger spam systems, it's really nice that emails are coming from you.
And it was,
I don't know how they're doing it. I don't need to know how
I
it's
don't
happening,
either.
but it's happening, when you send an email through the Tern system, it doesn't come from a Tern email. It comes from your email that you've linked in, which is really cool.
I'm so glad about it because my clients were getting really confused if they were looking, they were like, wait, what is all this
Yeah.
stuff?
And even my clients that were, that are younger and that are really, good with tech things, I like the idea now of everything's coming from one system. So they're not getting a
Mhm,
separate
mhm.
Turn email or separate TravelJoy emails. Everything is in one system. It just looks so clean and that next level of professionalism.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. And yeah, it's exciting. So then we already know the next things we want to talk about, but we're gonna kind of stop. We wanted to have a cliffhanger, and
Yeah.
we've been creating lists of questions. Now,
Hmm.
the TAN leadership has been so helpful and willing to and responsive, and they were setting up plans to integrate us. We're so far ahead of anything that they had mapped out for us because they did not, I think,
They didn't realize
anticipate,
that we were serious with we want to be moved over by the end of the year.
and they didn't anticipate how much we're willing to jump into it right away and how eager we were. So we have lists of questions for the next meeting with them, and also they have those weekly open office hours.
Hmm.
Do you want
Yeah.
to share some of your questions of things we've discovered that, and there may be people watching this that know the answer. Feel free to
Hmm.
write them in the comments.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so I will say, so two questions that we had that we found the answers to that we were really excited about was one, so Turn has an app for your clients to use, and my question was, can they use that app offline? And these are really random questions because, as you're getting in, I'd recommend doing the same thing. If you're transitioning over, have kind of like a master piece of paper where you're jotting all these random questions down. So the Turn app, yes, clients can use it offline, which I was really happy to hear about because that was something I was nervous that I loved about Travefy that I wanted to make sure was there in Turn. So it's there, which is awesome. It wasn't intuitive to me about this whole email read receipt thing because again, I liked that in TravelJoy and I didn't see it in Turn, but it is absolutely there in Turn. You click on this little check mark and it opens up and it shows you actually how many times the email's been opened, which I thought was really
oh,
interesting.
what? Oh,
Yes,
that's
it shows
cool.
you when the email was, how many times it was opened, was anything clicked in
Oh,
the email. So it gives you kind of like a full history of that email. Probably way more information than anyone needs, but at least that was there. But questions that are currently outstanding um, are about some of the tagging and the statuses. So we're really curious to see if there's a way to automatically move trips between the
right.
statuses. So
Yeah.
like when a trip has officially started, is there a workflow that you can set up to move it into the traveling box, or do I have to manually move people into their traveling now?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that absolutely there
It
has to be.
has
We
to
just haven't
exist, right?
found it yet. We just
Yeah,
haven't
we
found it
just
yet.
haven't found it yet. Yep.
But there's no way that they would make something simple
Yeah.
that's so time consuming that could be automatic by a simple trigger. I'm
Yep.
sure there is. I'm
I'm
sure there
sure there is. The other thing, and this one did cause me to almost launch my laptop over the cruise ship balcony. So when you're building, right, and again, it was one of those moments where I was jumping ahead and I was building an itinerary, so maybe it exists and I just haven't found it yet.
is.
But when you're building an itinerary, you can drag and drop and pick any cruise that exists out there, right? And it populates the cruise itinerary. Well, I haven't been able to find it for things like a Viator tour. So
Oh.
In Travefy, when you can take the Viator code, put it in the tour box, and it will pull in all of the details of the tour, and it'll pull in some pictures and things like that.
Hmm.
I haven't found that yet in
I'm sure it's
Tern.
there. I'm sure it's
And I haven't found also, like, if you have like a Globus land tour, there's no way to put in like a Globus code that I have found yet. Maybe it's
there.
there and I just haven't found it yet, and it populate the the land tour itinerary. So I haven't found them yet. I'm hoping that they're there, and we just need to find them.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
Um,
They are.
and again,
Because these
those
are
are
pretty
jumping
basic
ahead
things.
things. Yeah.
These are pretty
And
basic things.
and then the other and then I have a couple other questions about, so when we send someone the client information form, if they're a client that already has a bunch of information in the system, do they see all the existing information where they can just kind of update it, or are they only getting like a blank form? And then when they send that form back in, does it auto merge the information together, or do we have to do something with that? So little things,
You
little
can
things like that
you
that
can
I'm
make me a
still,
client and send me stuff and I'll fill it out and then you'll see what happens.
oh, you know what? I think I have you in the system already. I should do that. I will send you the
Test it.
form and we'll see what actually shows up. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
But what really the next phase, like, and those are all things that we're jumping ahead, but they're
Uh,
questions that we had, because
right.
really the next phase for us is getting our task lists
Yeah.
entered, which are now workflows, and
Mhm.
getting them set to trigger at the right points, and bringing in those email templates, like you said, and those forms, because that's also part of the house, right? Before you can bring in and build out a trip, you should have the task lists and the emails and things like that set up.
Ready
So
to go.
yeah,
Ready to go. And there's, speaking of that, you pointed out that there are a lot of shared templates
there's
from
a lot
other
of shared
Tern
things.
users. And
Yes.
like you found really good ones like for passport reminders
Mhm.
or things like that that you really like. And
Yeah, so for when you're in the library, if you're in the email section, if you're in the forms section, heck, even if you're in the tasks, the automations, or the workflows, there's not only your templates,
mhm,
there's the shared with me templates, which we
right,
think is
right,
really cool feature because you can share things with friends.
right,
And then there's also then there's a bucket for the Turn community. So there are lots and lots of email templates within the Turn community, workflows, automations. If you create something, you can actually click a box if you want it to be shared within the Turn community.
right. Which is
Nope.
nice. Which
Which
is
is
nice.
nice, yeah, if you've designed something you think is really neat. But it is nice, like if you're, like for me, I wanted to see what else were people doing for passport reminders, right? Because I thought mine was kind of boring. And so I clicked into email templates, Turn community, and then searched for passport.
Mm,
And then it immediately brought up 10 emails that people have shared around passports, around the passport reminders. So that was really nice.
that is cool.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
there
really
is a lot. The one thing that people have to be prepared. There is
nice.
going to be a lot of foundational building going in and creating or recreating the things that you send, whether it's the welcome emails, your, how you work emails, your explanation of your fees, or however, that all has to be rebuilt. Then we have to go in. Now, this is what we're going to learn soon about importing from Travefy and library stuff, because they did say they have a pretty good team of how to import stuff. We still don't know that. We still don't know. Again, we don't still don't know the stuff we don't know, and there's
Yeah,
things that we don't know that exist yet that will
yeah,
affect us. So we're stumbling through this from the standpoint of this is how we've done it. This is how
mhm,
we think it will be done and should be
yeah.
done, and then we're cross-referencing it with the experts as we go.
And and it is a nice time, right? It's nice to take the time, which we don't have because we do have work that's piling up. But it's good to take this time to figure out, okay, what are the new right statuses? What are the emails you want to bring in? What are the task lists? It's a good time to kind of review things over, spruce them up, because it will save you a lot of time going forward. It's also a good idea if you have not invested in a proper setup in your office and having two monitors. It's really nice to have my TravelJoy system set up here, my Tern system here, because when I was doing my workflows,
Yeah.
copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, it made it go much quicker than if I was just on my laptop, like sitting somewhere else. So having two monitors, if you haven't invested in yourself,
That's
get a
another thing.
get
That's a
a
good
second
one.
monitor, get the right kind of mouse, get the right setup in your office because it will just make moving things over, especially like email templates, right? Copy,
Mhm,
paste,
mhm.
copy, paste. It's just dragging and dropping and yeah, helps.
Cool.
Helps
All
speed the
right,
process
kiddos.
along.
So
Mhm.
that's it for this edition of
I know.
Dave and Erica Go
Yeah.
to Tern.
Yep. So next time we'll definitely give updates to if we have any answers to our questions. We'll talk about workflows and automations, and we'll talk maybe a bit more about tags too, because those are still all in process.
Yeah, it'll
Finished
be a
building the
few days.
house.
It will be a few days though, because tomorrow we have
I know.
our third webinar of
Our
our
second official
second
webinar, but our
official, but
third,
yeah,
yeah,
for the
webinar.
Mastering Group Sales Workshop. It's going
Mhm.
to be
Yep.
on SeaWorld America, where we're teaching people how to put together groups and manage them. And
Yep.
again, we're going through all of this Tern discovery because we
Mhm.
want to
Yep.
boost
Yeah.
what we're
Boost our
able
class because
to
we know we've got
tell to our
people.
clients.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we know we've got Turn users and a lot of TravelJoy users, so we want to be able to teach both pieces
Yeah,
in
to
the
make them happen.
workshop. Yeah.
Okay, so well, have a wonderful evening and stay warm. I know there's a blizzard on its
I
way.
know there's a blizzard on its way. I'm so excited.
So, well, our rain finally stopped, thankfully. Yay.
Yeah.
So, all
All right.
right, good night. Say hi to Chris.
Good night.
Bye.